Hey, all you replay viewers, it's Dr. Adam Nally coming to you live on Periscope right here and Facebook Live right here. Thought I would talk to you about 25 reasons for nutritional ketosis or ketosis, and this is part number 24. We're getting close to the end. Hopefully you'll enjoy it, and we'll be able to give you a little insight today as to a couple disease processes that are affected by nutritional ketosis. Although we don't have a lot of research on them, they're actually pretty fascinating and pretty cool. If you're new to if you're new to my Periscopes or my Facebook Lives, please let me know and put a one in the chat bar and tell me where you're from. It's always good to see you. It takes a second for the questions to roll in, so I'm refreshing Periscope here so I can see what's happening. Hopefully you can hear me on Facebook Live pretty clearly, and you guys are there. So put one in the chat box. Hey, Tammy, you are always here, Tammy, and you and Angela both. Awesome to see you, Tamara. Welcome. Let me know where you're from if you haven't told me before. Terry's here coming in from Surprise. Cool, just around the corner from me. That's awesome. Kimberly is new to the scope, but you listen to me on Keto Talk. Cool, thank you. And Laura from Tampa. It's always a pleasure to have you guys. Hey, James from Alabama checking in. Welcome. Connie from Wisconsin. Let's see. Somebody said they just caught me. Tracy from Central Illinois. Chris from I'm assuming, Chris, you're saying hi, you're not from Hawaii. Let's see. Yes, you caught me live, Kim. You actually did. A bunch of people sending in. Lisa from New Jersey and Tamara, Washington State. Oh my gosh, the comments are moving so fast I can hardly catch up with them. Glenda from Ontario. Is it Leanne from Minnesota? Hello, Lisa. How are you? This just read your mind. Oh, I read your mind. That's cool. Miss me on Keto Talk. Oh, well, you got me here, Scott. It's awesome. Lexington, Kentucky is Steven's checking in. All right, well, thank you guys for joining me. It's nice to see you. Good to hear my voice again, says Joe. Indianapolis, Tim Conway, fantastic. Debbie is from Ontario, Canada, and Texas is the keto state already. Faith, if I didn't live in Arizona, I would probably move to Texas, just because there's so many good people from Texas that do keto there. All right, Scott is from Santa Rosa, California. Joe from, is that 3 Scots on here now? Joe from, is that southbound, is that Maine? Vivek from Salem. Oh, Salem from Oman. Oh, Salam, pardon me, I can't read today. Salam from Oman. I was up really early this morning doing irrigation, and so if I miss your comment or I read it weird, just laugh at me. South Africa, Bitcoin is here. Bitcoin JC from South Africa. Ohio, Vicky is here. Emma in Indiana. The D-Link in Dallas. Is the animal tail thingy on the mic a key holder? Yes, that's actually a gift from my son. He's actually in Louisiana right now, and this is actually an actual coontail. Apparently they attach these to the for those on Facebook Live, you probably can't see it. I'm gonna see if I can pull this over. Oh, you might be able to see it. You know what? It may not come out. There's for those on Facebook Live, that's the coontail. It's hanging off of my mic. It actually absorbs some of the sound, so it actually works really cool. But my son sent it to me as a birthday gift, so one of those fun things you see. It absorbs the sound, so there's less echo in this room, and because it's got a really high ceiling. And anyway, it kind of fun, and it catches your attention there on Periscope, so you go, oh wow. Anyway, pretty cool. So what I thought I'm rambling. Oh, there we go. So I lost Facebook Live. Oh no. Sleep is good. Yes, it is, Teresa. So what I thought I would talk to you about this evening is, if you can line up here a little more straight on Periscope or on Facebook Live. So part number 24 we're going to talk about is attention deficit disorder, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or ADHD, and autism. Now, autism is a spectrum disease, meaning there's various degrees of severity. Asperger's is one of those that they all kind of fall into that severity. So the amazing thing is that I've had 3 young men specifically with autism or Asperger's, and probably 5 or 6 youth, boys and girls with either ADD, ADHD, who've dramatically benefited from a ketogenic lifestyle. Now, the big challenge is in someone in their younger ages, it's hard to take away the starches and carbs because all of their friends are eating them. Especially with autism, it may be a challenge in order to try to help those young men and young women who struggle with those disease processes or those syndromes to understand why the diet's being changed, especially if they do well with patterns and they do well with routine, which a lot of them do. But what we find is that as you change or you're able to institute a lower carbohydrate and higher fat diet, for whatever reason, and we think it may be related to either the way adenosine is activated in the brain, which gives the brain a little more activity and ability to focus, the way the mitochondrial respiration or the way the mitochondria functions more efficiently, or whether the presence of ketones provides a second fuel source or the alternative fuel source, so that the body can use glucose to improve its creation of neurotransmitters. These are the serotonins, the dopamines, the norepinephrines that help the brain cells talk back and forth to each other. So those are all the components of how a ketogenic lifestyle helps the brain. Now we know to date, I think there have been about 18 different studies. Most of them are animal studies in regards to these types of diseases. They've also looked at schizophrenia. They've looked at depression and anxiety, and we know that in all of these, there is statistically significant improvement in the outcome of the mental performance when either the animal or the human is placed in a nutritionally ketogenic state. They're preliminary studies, they're small, so it doesn't give us a lot of answers other than we know it's there. Now, clinically, I see some pretty significant improvement in these people, especially students, their ability to improve their function, their ability to perform, and in the cases of autism or autistic spectrum disorder, I've had some kids that were just barely functional in the classroom environment become much more functional to where they're actually more comfortable and they're able to interact a little more comfortably. And again, it really depends on the degree of that autism there in that case. With attention deficit or attention deficit hyperactivity, significant improvement in the hyperactivity component as well as the ability to focus. One of my children had dramatic improvement, more so than 2 different medications that we tried. This particular child had dramatic improvement in his ability to focus. So really, really amazing things that I'm seeing clinically, not only in family members, but in many of my patients that I see. So brief kind of exciting, but still an area of unknown is to how does a ketogenic lifestyle or ketogenic diet help these mental syndromes or these mental disorders that may be arising. So pretty cool. So Linda, hello Linda, how are you? Peggy says, add exogenous ketones to the keto diet to assist. Yes, we do that. That's, a lot of people, it's really interesting. I've been kicked out of 2 Facebook groups because I mentioned exogenous ketones. Didn't mention the brand, just mentioned the exogenous ketones. They kicked me out because apparently they're bad. I've been using them for 2 years with myself and patients. I find that especially in youth who struggle tremendously with the ability to stay on diet because of all the fact that they live their lives and they live a life in a garbage world. Having something to very simply drink or eat that provides a ketone, especially with attention deficit, has been dramatic for those youth that I've had in my office clinically. So I'm a big proponent of them because anytime I have a tool to bridge the difficulty in diet or disease, I'm going to try to use it. And that's specifically why I like and use exogenous ketones. A lot of people say, well, you're not making them from your own liver. No, you're not, but you're absorbing them. We know that they pass right into the portal vein immediately. And in order to get them into the urine, you actually have to have them in the bloodstream. So identical beta-hydroxybutyrate, there's a balance between the shift between beta-hydroxybutyrate and acetone back and forth and how the body uses them. But I see dramatic results with individual family members as well as patients in that regard, and use them as an adjunct. Do you have to use them? Absolutely not. But the question is, if you smash your thumb, are you going to rub liniment on it, or are you going to take a Motrin? If you can actually take a Motrin and decrease the inflammation faster than just ice or liniment, more power to you, right? Same thing here. If you can add something nutritionally that mimics or is identical to what your body's making and bridges that adaptation phase, number one, and also that period to cross over, then you'll be benefited. So that's why I'm a fan of adding the exogenous ketone. And I didn't mean to get into exogenous ketones. I was really going to talk more about how they work. But in these 2 specific syndromes where we see attention focus issues, we see interaction focus problems. The challenge is getting someone, number one, into a ketogenic state, and then number two, helping them stay there and feel how good it is to be in that state. Once a person knows how much better they feel, and they've felt it with the exogenous ketone, they're more apt to avoid the bread or the carbohydrates. Don says, my son needs exogenous ketones but hate the taste. You know what? My son was the same way. He hated the original orange taste with one of the products. Couldn't stand a couple of them that we had tried from different companies, but the newer tastes from the company that I currently use, which is the Prove It company, and they're expensive, but that's their model and the way they promote them. He likes two of those flavors, and he'll drink those. Those are great. So that's the challenge, is finding the one that they'll drink. And my suggestion is, try a number of them, let them see how they like them. That's what we end up doing. Would exogenous ketones help with dementia patients? Absolutely. I have a number of dementia patients that it helps with. That's tomorrow's 25 reason, number 25. You caught me live. Yes, you did. If a child is not eating a keto diet, does adding exogenous ketones still help? It actually does, Tracy. And that was what I was shocked to see, was that my son had a really hard time focusing on using the diet alone. And when I gave him 2 exogenous drinks to drink a day, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, it made him feel so much better. It actually motivated him to actually change his diet and look for things that he could do with his friends and things that way it would still make him focus and feel better. He actually felt better and functioned better, not just according to me, but according to friends and other family members and his coworkers. In fact, his coworkers said, "Are you on medicine?" Because he was functioning so much better in that regard with the ADHD symptoms that he had. Good afternoon, Jeremy. It's good to see you. Keto when Hashimoto's a good or bad idea? Tresha, you need to look at my blog post. Go to docmuscles.com. I've got multiple articles on thyroid, as well as multiple videos on thyroid, specifically one of these on 25 reasons for ketosis and how beneficial it is for Hashimoto's. Good to see you, Jean. There were some questions here. I was just sharing this research with someone today. Oh, that's cool, Amy. I am for overcoming severe anxiety. Pardon me, I can't read today, Flo. I've been really impressed to see some of the improvement in patients' ability to function with anxiety when they're in a ketogenic state. So consider that heavily. Why would you get really hungry after exogenous ketones? Because you're probably not keto adapted, number one. Number two, you probably didn't take in enough fat or protein, and your body is craving that. Those are 2 off the cuff reasons I would think of. I've been having ADHD for as long as I can remember. I've noticed keto lifestyle does help me focus. It's dramatic, and especially if you can get into a little bit higher state. So if your ketones are like 1.0 or 1.5, you'll actually see that even more effective. Denise, yes, you caught me live. All right, so I've been ignoring Periscope over here. Periscope says, my 10-year-old ADD son will not eat keto. Exogenous ketones will help him. Absolutely, they will, Vicky. Go to my website, docmuscles.com, click on the keto cart. There's a 5-day trial pack. You can order that trial pack and give him, half a pack a day or a pack a day, 2 packs a day if they're a little older or more to an adult weight. And that's what we did with my son. I said, here, Michael, I want you to try these. Try this. We started with a half pack twice a day, then we went to a whole pack twice a day, and he did fantastic. So something to consider. My issue is if I can find a product or a medication that actually is effective and works, and we understand the science behind it, we understand a lot of why it works. It's fantastic. Now with kids specifically, it's so hard, and there's like been 4 or 5 of you that have already said, I can't get my kids to eat this way. This is how you do it, and this is where and what happens is they feel so good when you help them recognize this is how you feel when you're in a ketogenic state. This is how you feel when you're not. Which one do you like better? And naturally they'll go, I like this. Okay, so then what can we do to help you stay there? And that's what we end up doing. Kim said something about massive diarrhea. That sounds really exciting. I missed the first question there. Let's see. My Precision Extra shows 10 to 15 points higher than Quest Labs. Which is more accurate? In regards to what? Are you talking about blood sugar, or are you talking about if your ketones 10 to 15 points higher? I'm a little worried. Any side effects when overdosing keto OS? Bitcoin asked that. Like that? Well, yes. So if you do, well, remember there's exogenous ketones, and then the OS version has medium chain triglycerides. And if you're not keto adapted and you push that full packet, I guarantee if you're not used to that fat, you're going to spend a little bit of time getting acquainted with the porcelain king. So I would say be careful there. Let's see. He's 90 pounds. So yes, so be aware of that. So that's why I tell people, if you're using the OS version that has the medium chain triglyceride in it, start out with a half packet or even a quarter packet. If you're using the max version, which is the magnesium bound version, most people do okay with that, although they may get a little GI upset because of the short chain. See, a ketone is a short chain fatty acid. That's what it is. If your gut's not used to that, or if your gut's not used to the sweetener that company may put in there, like erythritol or the stevia, sometimes you can get a little bubbly. So that's why I tell people start slow and work your way up over a week or two. Blood glucose, not ketones. PX versus, okay. So the Precision Extra versus Quest. I have found personally that the Precision Extra is always more accurate over the Quest. I seem to see that all the time. What are the directions included with your product? The directions are that start with a half packet daily and then go to a whole packet daily. And if that works well after a week or so, then go to 2 packs. Is what I would usually recommend. Now, if it's a child that's probably under 10 or 12 and they're a light body weight, then I would say I would probably just do half packet twice a day and see if it works. Is it going to hurt them to do a whole pack twice a day? Absolutely not. But they may get loose bowels and feel upset stomach, so you want to introduce it slow so their guts get used to it. Water, I mix it with water. Asked Vicky Friedman. There's a Maui Punch flavor that my son loves. I hate the flavor of punch. This actually tastes pretty good, and so you just mix it with ice and water, shake it up, and it tastes like a Powerade, literally. And it's one of the few things my son will drink. Yes, there are instructions that come with them. So if you order them from me, I give you a special handout, an instruction pack, and some places to look on my website to get some more instruction there. So if you want to check that out, you're welcome to do that. Great questions, you guys. So, and again, my intention was not to jump into exogenous ketones, but to try to help understand the fact that when we move into a ketogenic state, whether that's nutritionally or exogenous ketones, you're going to see some tremendous benefits. And there's reasons to do one or other. Now, if you're a purist and you don't want to use exogenous ketones, then please don't use them. Save them for me. But if you want to try them, they're beneficial. Just remember, start low and go slow, because if you're not already keto adapted, you'll probably feel uncomfortable. And I've had a few people say, well, Dr. Now I've been doing this for 12 months and I drank those ketones and it gave me horrible diarrhea. Well, then what you realize is that the sweetener that's in them may have affected that person that way. That's usually what I end up finding out it is after we go through their history. Hopefully that answers some questions. Why would you get really, okay, we answered that question. Let me see if I catch any others here. All right, so what is the best age to begin a keto diet? Toddler. You know what? Whenever you feel like they want to do it. Now, in my clinic and with my family, we don't push the ketosis component as much as we do low carb with the kids. Basically, we do a protein and a fat, a leafy green, and if they want one carbohydrate, like a piece of bread or half a potato or something like that, then that's offered to the kids. My wife and I don't usually eat them, but my kids, when they were younger, that's what we would do. They were offered one carb meal. Because kids' metabolisms are so fast and they're growing so rapidly, they can handle the extra carb and the extra fuel without a problem in most cases. Now, and so we don't want them to grow, or if they're overweight, we don't want them to lose weight. We want them to grow into that weight. So we don't want to restrict their carbs down so tightly that they feel uncomfortable. We want to offer them fat. And if you're offering them fat and protein, what I find clinically is that, and in my family, when we offered fat and protein, they were much less likely to eat as much carb because they felt full longer with the fat and the protein. And fat tastes great anyway. You know, when I offered my kids bacon, they said, yeah. So it was great. Do you worry that the salts have both left and right isomers, where our liver only makes one? Yeah, no, because the other isomer will give you raging vomiting if you try to drink it. You're welcome to try it, but that's the issue. The isomer is identical to the isomer in our liver. The opposite isomer is not what's in the package. My son likes midnight. I have not tasted the midnight yet. MS. Oh, we talk about MS and dementia tomorrow, Monica. Or Kim, pardon me. So sign in tomorrow or watch tomorrow when I talk about it. Exogenous ketones, where can I find it? So go to docmuscles.com, click on my keto cart, And you can see the 5-day trial pack there, or you can just go to docmusclesketones.com, and that takes you to my the store, the exogenous ketone store that I use, where you can just purchase them there and they'll send right to you. And that's, you can actually get more flavors there. The packet that I have only has some of the flavors. If you want to see the whole rainbow of flavors, then go to docmusclesketones.com and order them there. If you would like to know more about ketones, message me. Actually, message me. Don't message Peggy. Message me. Connie Prigden, exogenous ketones that you do not have lactose. See, exogenous ketones that you do not have lactose, artificial flavors. I'm celiac, which is why I haven't tried them. In ketosis, 14 months, meats green only. Great, Connie. Keep doing it. That's fine. If you have an issue with some of the artificial, flavor that's there or things of that nature, great. I have yet to have a celiac patient that has a problem with artificial flavor exacerbating their celiac. But if you're one of those, then my suggestion is don't use them. Trisha Ruth. Here's the thank you, Anna, for putting up the thyroid page. Somebody asked about the thyroid. That's the link to the thyroid. Thank you, Anna, for doing that. Ketos work great with lupus involved in neurologic symptoms. Yes, it does. It works great with lupus. I have a couple lupus patients that do well. My daughter's 10 and she can start a keto diet. Yes, she can. Just found you last night in Delaware. Well, actually, you're probably in Delaware. I'm here. However, I'm going to get. However, am I going to get 4,700 grams or milligrams of potassium per day from food? Well, you're gonna, if you did a teaspoon and a half of Himalayan peak sea salt, you'd be golden. I have 2 chronic illnesses with inflammation, and ketones have helped. Well, that's fantastic. Here's the link for the trial pack. Oh, thanks, Anna, for putting the link in. I appreciate that. Is it possible to ship your product to South Africa? Bitcoin, I think it might be. I would have to look to see with the shipping and what the regulations are there, but more than likely, yes. I just need to verify what we would need to do in order to make sure customs is okay with it and all that. I think I've been able to ship to South Africa before, but if you want to message me, I can work with you on that. I have a family member who's high cholesterol medicine and doesn't need to lose weight. Would keto lifestyle be good for her? Absolutely. Cholesterol is one of the key issues with insulin resistance, and so even though the weight may not be an issue, the ketogenic diet is really helpful that way. Best age to start keto for a child: when they want to, or when you think it may be helpful. I give it to my dog with doggy dementia. That's awesome. Is it time for me to try I think it's time to try the trial pack. Well, go try the trial pack, Faith. It'd be awesome. I understand keto diet's good for someone with epilepsy. Should I be seeing a nutritionist to watch when I go into ketosis? Jeremy, no, you need to see your doctor. If you have epilepsy or you're working with someone with epilepsy, talk to your doctor about it. And talk to someone who understands how to do a nutritional ketosis to help with it. Hello, Stephanie. How are you? Can OS help Tourette's? I have never seen a study on Tourette's, Mike. But the question is, Tourette's is a form of anxiety, and we know that the ketogenic lifestyle and being in nutritional ketosis does have an effect that's been documented in a number of case studies and a few small studies, that it does help the anxiety part of it. So that's a consideration. Love that idea. I have to do it with my husband. I'm not sure what you're referring to, Stephanie. Bacon, yes. All right. That's the keto cart. Faith put it up there. Thank you guys for putting the links up there. I'm lactose intolerant and celiac. Okay. I see. Lactose intolerant as well. I am not sure what that means, James. All right. Miranda says, what is the difference between NMR blood tests versus LP PLA2 blood test? So, okay, the difference is this, and you need to go read my cholesterol article, Miranda. But the issue is this: we're either measuring the actual particle number, the actual number of particles, which is what the NMR is measuring. It's measuring the big fluffy ones, medium-sized ones, and small dense ones. It's giving you actual particle number, versus LPA2, which is a protein that's found in the small dense LDL particle that they're actually measuring. So you're either measuring one of the particles and an extrapolated calculation based on the number of particles the number of proteins per particle, and that's what the LPA is, versus the actual particles themselves. So you're looking at 2 ways to measure a very similar number, if that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense. If someone is in ketosis, would they still want to drink exogenous ketones? I do all the time. And the reason is I'm notably insulin resistant. I have a high stress job. I don't get a lot of sleep. Some nights, like last night, I was up way late. So being able to use an exogenous ketone to help keep me in that state of nutritional ketosis is actually very effective. If I signed up for the 101 membership and decided to go VIP, can I apply for the first membership to? Can I apply the first membership to the VIP? So if you purchase the 101 and then you roll the other, yes, you can, Kim. Absolutely. I'm not sure what that was a response to. I'm missing the guys over here on Periscope. We had to stop ADD prescription. We tried a few. Yeah, with one of my family members, the ADD prescriptions actually stunted growth, and that was one of the big challenges we found with one. I have a number of other patients that we use the attention deficit medications with, and side effects are real. They happen, and one of the challenges is if you're getting these side effects, you want to be able to overcome those. Being able to use nutrition and a simple supplement to drink was dramatically better than the side effects that were happening, with these medications in those cases. We had to stop. We tried the prescription because of the cardiac side effects. That's amazing. Yeah, with exogenous ketones, because it will cause an increased squeezing through. In some people will feel it. They'll feel a little bit of a palpitation, but in most cases it's not a problem. It's not going to cause an issue. And the 2 years I've been using them, I've never seen someone that had to stop them because it was actually hurting. One person felt a stronger squeezing, and she was very sensitive to that. So that's one issue that could arise. I've seen that clinically in the office, but something to consider. Are the nitrates in bacon bad? James, go and read my article on nitrates at docmuscles.com/the blog. Read that article. That'll answer your question for you. Good evening from Minnesota. Cholesterol dropped from 207.93. Awesome. That's great, Bert. Thanks for all the help. You're very welcome, Dr. Dominic. Oh, you guys are very kind. Thank you, Lisa. She's giving me the thumbs up. Let's see. Les, I missed the other component as to why you were using the asterisk of. I'm not sure what that means. Is this the cholesterol article you meant, Doc Muscles? Yes, that's the cholesterol article I talked about, Anna. So read that one. If you are adapted, can you eat too much fat? Will you put on weight as it will get stored? The only reason you're going to store fat, Carol, is if you have insulin present with the fat. The only way, there's one enzyme called lipoprotein lipase, and the lipoprotein lipase has to be activated in order to pull the triglyceride from the cholesterol molecule into the fat cell. If that lipoprotein lipase isn't activated, you will not gain fat. And that's why type 1 diabetics, when they don't take their insulin, are skinny as a rail. You've got to have insulin to get the fat into the fat cell, period. If you're eating excess fat, but your carbs are way low and your insulin's low, you won't gain weight. You're just going to get loose stools and loose bowel. That's the whole point. That's why people get loose stool. If you overdo the fat, you're going to have to run to the restroom. A lot of people say, well, if you eat too much fat, you're going to gain the fat. That's a bunch of bull crap. The issue is if you're eating too much protein or too much carbohydrate and your insulin's activated higher, then you may actually, and you're eating way heavy, large amounts of fat as well, you may see that weight gain happen there. But the big key is that your fat gain occurs not because you ate fat, but because there's fat in the bloodstream that's been absorbed from the gut. Remember, it has to pass through the gut first. And then insulin's high enough that it's telling the lipoprotein lipase, which is essentially the docking port on the fat cell that the cholesterol molecule binds to, that pulls the triglyceride in, if that makes it easy to think about. Think about the Starship Enterprise docking to the space station, and lipoprotein lipase as well as at the dock. And if insulin's not there, it ain't docking. Let's see. You think I've said that before? Watch the Lego demo for cholesterol multiple times. Oh, you watched it multiple times to be sure you understood and read the article. You're welcome, Miranda. Normally in Memphis, normally in Memphis, but in Orlando, normally in Memphis, but in Orlando for a vacation. Well, enjoy. So many people claiming to be keto suggest lowering fat and must have calorie deficit to lose weight. They're full of crap, Sherry. That's the problem. And yes, I said that, and people are going to be mad at me, and I'm going to get a bunch of hate mail, and well, they already hate me. I do this clinically. That's what I do all day long. I've been doing this I've been in practice 18 years. I've been doing ketogenic lifestyles, specifically monitoring the labs really closely for over 13 years. I check labs on people every 2 to 3 months, and when they monitor their diet, they're bringing in food journals. I'm watching this. I've been doing this for 13 years. I know what happens when people raise fat, lower fat, when they raise protein, lower protein, when they cut carbs, raise carbs. I see it all the time. So when people say, oh, you got to have a calorie deficit and you got to eat less fat, bull crap. You got to balance the hormones. And the only way you know if the hormones are balanced is if you're hungry or you're not hungry. You can count calories till the cows come home. The problem is that if you count the calories and you're listening to so-and-so's caloric recommendations, but yet your body's hungry, you're storing fat, my friend. That's the problem, because the hunger is a stimulus because your body's in need of a fuel, or it's in need of a macronutrient. And so you either have to give it fuel or you have to give it that macronutrient to be comfortable. There are 30 different hormones that flux that stimulate weight gain and weight loss. And the whole point is you're learning to understand how you feel. Now, some people, they'll eat more fat and do really well. Some people eat less fat and do well. It really depends on your body's hormone response to the fuel that you're offering it. To create a calculated caloric deficit is like trying to get your wife to concentrate really hard and not have a period. It just doesn't work. Seriously, it's that stupid. And I'm not calling them stupid. I'm just saying this thought process that our body is a calorimeter and it's identical to everybody else's calorimeter just because of a height or an ideal body weight is laughable. Because I tried that for the first 5 years of my practice and it didn't work. I tried that when we first started doing ketogenic lifestyles. We cut calories, didn't work. The key is you've got to increase the fat till your hunger is satiated. We've got to give you adequate protein to maintain blood or skin and muscle and connective tissue, and we limit the carbs because there is no carbohydrate deficiency disease. If you cut out carbs, there's no disease that arises. Now I'll get off my soapbox. That was a little bit of a rant. Sorry. I think I'm a little irritable by that. A teaspoon of Himalayan pink salt has the RDA of potassium. Himalayan pink salt has sodium, potassium, magnesium, and zinc. 2 listings for nitrates. Oh, thanks, Anna, for putting that in. Can you be in ketosis every day and still not lose weight? You can, because again, you can have the ketones high, but if your hormones are still high, if your insulin's still high, because you're using, like I had a patient come in today, this wonderful patient, following a perfect ketogenic lifestyle. She checked her ketones, they were 0.7, yet when I checked her lab work, her fasting insulin was at 18 because she was using the Atkins shakes that have a sweetener called a sulfate potassium that spikes insulin, and she was doing that once or twice a day. Well, that you spike that insulin's high for the next 12 to 24 hours, depending on how often you drink it. You're not losing weight because the insulin's still high, even if you're in ketosis. That's why, yes, you can have ketones elevated, and you can have blood sugar that's not too bad, but if you spike that insulin, you're not losing weight. And there's about 3 or 4 other hormones that we have to balance. That's why I do what I do. That's why I'm in business. We got to balance the hormones. Weight gain, weight loss is a hormonal issue, not a caloric issue. All right. Thank you for my perspective. Well, hopefully it's more than a perspective, Nicole. Enjoy Orlando, says Anna. Oh, Anna, okay. You love me. Great. Thank you. We can answer your hate mail for you. All right. You are very welcome for the education. Sherry says you're my hero. Oh, that's awesome. I wish your office was closer. Oh, thanks. You guys are kind. I wish I could have learned about keto 20 years ago. You know what, Faith? Me too. I'm still learning about it. I'll admit there may be a piece of this that we have wrong, and I'm always testing and trying. I have one patient right now that we put her into this program. She's doing fantastic, but we actually had to push her protein up. Because of her lifestyle and stress loads, we had to push her protein about 30 grams higher than I would normally calculate out. And then she started losing weight. Again, it's hormonal. It's related to the way the body's handling these hormones. So one size doesn't fit all. What I tell people is we start here, and then we work our way up and down a little bit with these pieces until we find the balance that your hormones respond the most effectively to. What about Prove It's new 60-hour reboot? No, I don't offer it. My concern is a reboot in regards to intermittent fasting and the use of exogenous ketones in someone who is insulin resistant and doesn't realize it will actually cause ketoacidosis. And I've had 3 patients have that happen. So I'm not a fan of the prolonged intermittent fasts in combination with ketosis because I had 3 patients that went into ketoacidosis. and because they were unaware of, they hadn't seen a doctor, they were unaware of what had happened, and so, or what their bodies were actually doing, and so putting themselves into this state puts them at risk. And so I'm not a fan of that. Probably doesn't like me for that, but hey, I practice clinical medicine. This is what I do, and so when I see something that poses a risk for a person, and I don't know their full metabolic profile, I'm not going to recommend that. Me too, Faith. Oh, thank you. Yes. All right. Let's see. Tammy says, I found a 30-day keto kit. Here's the link. Oh, thanks, Tammy, for doing that. Awesome. So you don't think you need to count calories? Not in the least, Betty. I've been saying that for 13 years. Loved your rant. How can I get the potassium just from food? Well, Wanda, the problem is this: you're not going to get it from just food. There's not enough salt or potassium in food. You actually have to use, potassium is a salt, so you have to use salt. That's the whole point. I love it when you tell us the new things you learn. I wonder how many of us gave up Diet Dr. Pepper at the same time as you. You know what, Faith? There was probably a lot of people that did. A lot of people follow me, and for those that were following me drinking Diet Dr. Pepper, we learned stuff. I used it because it was successful in suppressing appetite with myself and many patients, and I used it for a lot of years, and I never saw the insulin change dramatically. But what I have noticed is that now I'm I think 8 weeks out, maybe 9 weeks out from not drinking any Diet Dr. Pepper. Yesterday, for the first time in my life, I had a 3.0 ketone reading. Never had that when I was drinking Diet Dr. Pepper. So pretty profound. That's a big deal for me, going, whoa, all of a sudden my insulin resistance numbers have dropped. So the Diet Dr. Pepper propagates insulin resistance by the way it affects, or I should say, it's the aspartame that's in the Diet Dr. Pepper and the Diet Coke, changes the gut flora. That we know that from a study that was released last year, and changes the way the body handles the insulin at the gut flora level. That's why we didn't see it when we were testing insulins and glucose. So we learn stuff, and I'm the first to admit, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. We'll change. We'll go forward. But I'm trying to apply science clinically in a way that's real and won't cost you a fortune. Now, are ketones expensive? Yeah. Well, do you have to use them? No. But if you have the ability and the means to do it, why not? Love your podcast. Learned so much. Thanks, Rhonda. What about the diet, the keto diet and Crohn's disease? I did a whole podcast on that. Stacy, go watch that one. Is there a way to cheat the potentially high cholesterol numbers being on keto for the blood screen to get life insurance? Miranda, read my article and you'll understand that more clearly. What is ketoacidosis? Oh, Sally, you got to go read about that on my blog. This is where the ketones go usually above 5.0 or 6.0 into a range that becomes life-threatening because it shuts down the enzymes in your body when the ketones push up into the 23, 24, 26 range. That's what type 1 diabetics can get if they don't take their insulin. You can also get it in severe dehydration in a person who's got higher blood sugars because they're a type 2 out of control. And they may not need insulin at this point, but if they get dehydrated, that can happen. What do you advise your patients who may be battling high cortisol levels that keep them from losing belly fat? Well, first, Michelle, is it high cortisol? Did you actually have it tested, or that person is who had asked? Number one. Number two, there is something that I see very commonly in females called pseudo hypercortisolism because of high stress. I have a number of females that have anxiety or depression. They're under a lot of stress, and that keeps that cortisol level slightly elevated. How do you know if you're in ketoacidosis? You check your ketone levels, and if they're above 6, you're in trouble. That's where there's a problem. Any advice for MS? Not today, but on my next podcast, I'll give that out, Kim. So you got to watch that one. Gave up Diet Coke. Good for you, Linda. You're awesome. And I'm missing. I keep forgetting Periscope's over here. Let's see. People write these cookbooks and don't even know what keto is. Maria's always said, "Oh, yep, very good." I bought a fake keto cookbook and had to throw them out. Oh man, that's terrible. By the way, I pre-ordered yours, Doc, cookbook. Well, it's actually a book that has 60 recipes. That's what it is. So is it a cookbook? Well, it's got 60 recipes, and Maria wrote them, and they're great recipes. I love them. But the book is there to explain how we apply a ketogenic lifestyle to disease. That's really what the book is about. Dr. Nye, thank you for your protein requirement at docmuscles.com. I was eating too much protein. Well, hopefully that helped. I hope it did. What do you think of salt stick caps? I have never even seen them. I don't even know what they are. Ketosis affects ADHD. Yes, it actually does. I gave up Dr. Pepper February 1st, and then you miss it. You know what? Every once in a while I get a craving for it, but I just drink some sparkling water. Something positively, yes. Oh, yes, it affects it. Yes. Okay, fantastic. I am running behind the questions here. I'm way behind. Let's see. Gave up. Oh, so distilled water is a good idea to do with keto. Yeah, it works just fine, Carlos. I don't mind it. You bashed Coke Zero, so I haven't had one since. See how influential you are. Michelle, that's awesome. NW root beer, or is it mug root beer, Dr. Young? It's okay once in a while. I stopped recommending all of them. So any of the diet, I used to recommend I shouldn't say recommend. I used to allow people to drink diet Dr. Pepper, diet Coke, diet mug root beer, or diet A&W cream soda because they had aspartame. But you just heard me rant about aspartame and what it does to the gut flora and how it propagates insulin resistance to a mild to moderate degree in some people, and that was what was found in the study. So those 4 diet sodas that I used to allow people to use, I've told people to avoid now, if that makes sense. I'm a perfect example of what happens when you find out some science and you got to change your life. All right. I am salting liberally with Himalayan. Do I need to supplement? If you're salting liberally, you're probably great, Wanda. I guess the question is, what outcome are you looking for with the salt? That's the question. 5 articles on ketoacidosis on docmuscles.com. Well, thank you, Anna. You were like my researcher for I need to have you index my pages. For potassium, sorry, love the info. You're brilliant. Oh, you're kind, Wanda. Do I need a supplement? You know, Wanda, the only reason I would recommend supplementing potassium is if your potassiums are staying low, or because you're on a medication that causes a depletion of potassium, or if for some reason you're not absorbing it. I've got a few people that have short gut syndrome that can't absorb the potassium very effectively, and that would be a reason to supplement if you needed it. But if you're doing a teaspoon and a half or so of the pink Himalayan sea salt, that's usually adequate for most people. But if you need more, you can add more, and that's something you can either use over the counter or talk to your doctor about a supplement. You talk about keto balancing hormones. How does it affect testosterone in men? Oh, Charlotte, I have a whole talk on that. And I think I talked about testosterone in one of the first few 25 reasons for ketosis videos I did. But it's a complex pathway that very few people understand, and we don't even understand all of it yet. But I think we have a grasp on what we're seeing and the reason why. And the model allows us to understand why testosterone drops in men but raises in women when you're insulin resistant. That's me, Doc. Lisa, I misunderstood what that question was about. Oh, that's me, the root beer question. All right. Are you familiar with Zip Fizz? Is it keto? No, it's not. Zip Fizz is not keto. Zip Fizz is just pure caffeine. For persons who ask about diet with a sweet, Zip Fizz is caffeine with a sweetener, and I don't recommend it. For a person who asked about the diet root beer, oh yeah, you go read the sweetener article. Thanks, Faith. Chronic stress, yes. Chronic stress raises cortisol to a degree that's not truly Cushing's, but is what there's actually literature written about pseudo-Cushing's syndrome is what it's written about. Can't wait for your book. Oh, it comes out on April 10th. Go check it out. It's on my website. The link is on my website under the blog link. Does nicotine affect ketones? It actually does, but it varies on how rapidly your body handles the nicotine. Kim loves my advice. Thank you, Kim. I don't drink diet soda at all, so it's okay. You're good, Lisa. That's awesome. Where can I get your book? Book comes out April 10th. It's available for pre-order on Amazon. I know it will be in Costco. They'll have it. I think Target will have it. I've seen it at Barnes and Noble. They'll have it. I'm pretty sure. April 10th is when it comes out. If you want a signed copy, click. There's a pop-up on my website that allows you to sign up for once I know more about when the signed copies are coming, there'll be a signed copy available, and we'll send out an email to those that are interested in that signed copy. Doc Adam, I'm using Dell PC, so I'm using extra tabs to reference as you go. Oh, awesome. Thank you, Anna. I appreciate that. You are amazing. Thanks, Lisa. Does this diet help with excessive iron in the blood? Are you referring to iron overload, or you're referring to, oh my gosh, my mind just went blank. There's a couple reasons for high ferritin. There's a few. the people that do a ketogenic diet that have a high ferritin or high iron, it hasn't dramatically changed the iron loads. And so no, the short answer is no. But there are a number of reasons why it can be, and that's where you need to work with your doctor on that one. Because there's a number of reasons that can cause that iron to be high that way. Pardon me, that can cause iron to be high, excuse me. All right, what is the fasting insulin goal so you can lose weight? All right, so my book talks about this, and I've talked about it before multiple times. The issue is this: the average person produces 2 to 20 times the normal amount of insulin response to starch and sugar. Fasting insulin should be less than 5 micro units per deciliter is where it should be. Many patients that I see, like the patient I had a patient today that had a fasting sugar of 18 micro units per deciliter. It takes about 18 to 24 months following a ketogenic lifestyle for the pancreas, what appears like the pancreas is healing to where that level falls down to a more normal resting level. So our goal is to get the overall insulin at a resting level under 5. Now, you can lose weight if it's still high. The key is that the longer you stay in a ketogenic state, the less and less overproduction of insulin is being driven by the pancreas. And the reason is because the fat cells, 5 of them specifically, and possibly 6 of them, are driving the liver to raise the glucose to kick the insulin higher. There's a balance system between the pancreas, the liver, and the fat cells. And there's a hormone, basically an orchestra of hormones that go into causing that balance to happen. Part of the reason that blood sugar is high in prediabetes and diabetes is not because the pancreas is broken, because the fat cells are broken, telling the liver to produce too much glucose, and the pancreas tries to keep up. That it's not the pancreas itself. It's a balance of it's like an orchestra conductor who's deaf. He can feel some of it, but he can't always hear all the sounds. And unless he gets it right, those hormones are going to be off. But when we back the carbs out, it allows for the fat cells to shrink down to their normal size. They start producing hormone normally, and we see that occur. That's really what it is. It's fairly complex, but that's what it is. Yeah, hemochromatosis. Okay, yes. That's unfortunately, I've not seen a ketogenic diet fix hemochromatosis. No. Thank you so much. We appreciate helping. You're welcome. You're welcome, Wanda. You guys are welcome. Can ketosis help with a low iron and vitamin C or vitamin D? Well, Carrie, vitamin D is fat soluble. So if you're eating animal fat, your vitamin D normally comes up normally. I live in Arizona where we have 364.5 days of sun. But yet I still see a third of the population in Arizona that's vitamin D deficient because they're eating low-fat diets. When you start eating a low-carb diet, you increase the fat. In most of those patients, vitamin D self-corrects. Now, iron can be low for a number of other reasons, and iron can be low because of a large hiatal hernia or because of poor intake or things of that nature. So, you're talking about 2 different issues, 2 different approaches to fixing that. Have you noticed any effects of this diet on patients with glaucoma? Yes, I actually have seen some patients have come back. I don't know if it's just coincidence or if it's related to the diet, but I've had a trend of patients tell me their pressures with glaucoma drop. Now, I've not correlated whether that was wet or dry, or I'm sorry, that's macular degeneration with glaucoma, if it was closed or open angle, pardon me. I've not correlated that. I don't know the answer to that, but I have seen a slight improvement in pressures. So whether that's related to the diet or something else that changes when they're on the diet, I don't know the answer to that. You're welcome, Sally. Thank your wife for letting us all infringe on your home. Oh, yep, she will appreciate that. I have a ketone meter, but it sounds like I need something to measure my insulin. There's no way to measure insulin, Kim. We extrapolate insulin based on what we see. The only way to measure insulin is actually go to your doctor and have it drawn through the blood. But not very many doctors will draw it because they don't know how to use the number. I will definitely have to replay all this over for information overload. Did I overload you tonight? Did I give you weight? This is like number 24. I had to give you the good stuff. So this is like the good. This is the meat. This is the meat and cabbage part of the 25 reasons for ketosis. Can ketosis help with narcolepsy? I think there was one study, but I don't remember the result on that study, Jessica. We know that it actually helps with general sleep, but does it help with the falling asleep component? I want to say I don't think it did, but don't quote me on that. I'll have to go back and look for that one article. I think there was one article. What is your favorite keto meal? What is my favorite keto meal? A nice ribeye. Other than bacon, a nice ribeye. Thank you. Let's see. You're welcome, Doc. You're welcome, guys. Thank you, Tammy. I love the information overload. Bring on the meat. Awesome. Does my book have information for keto and cancer? It touches just ever so briefly. I was going to include a chapter, but there's so much information that's there, much of which is preliminary, that I left that chapter out. We touched on it briefly, but we left it out because it's that cancer. There are so many different forms of cancer, and whether the ketones affect that form or not is still under lots of study and scrutiny right now. I just need to make an appointment. Come see me. Yes, you do. All right. Hi from North Scottsdale. Hello, Marlene. How are you? And I've been neglecting the folks over here in Periscope. Let's see. Does your book go into some biochemistry detail? It tries to do biochemistry at a lay level. So a biochemistry at a level that a fifth grader can understand is what we try to do. Let's see. Periscope is the redheaded stepchild. Not really. I just need to get them to move it over so I can do both comments at the same time. Do you think I can pay for the exogenous ketones with insurance? No, they won't pay for those because they're a supplement. They're not. That's all it is. Does your book go into deep biochemistry explanations? Bitcoin JC, it's not really deep, but it gives you the meat, is enough to be hopefully well versed enough to be able to understand the basic pieces that you need to understand. But some people want to overload. You can buy the books that have information overload. The book is really there to try to help you understand how to. It's more application, I guess, is what I would say. All right. Hey, Julie. Hi, Doc. Haven't been on in a while. Nice to see you. Great. Let's see. Know of any keto docs in Central Texas? There are two, and their names are slipping my mind. But yes, there are a couple in Central Texas. And I'm trying to remember who they are. It may come to me. North Carolina. Hello, Elise. Finally caught me live. Yes, Pam, you caught me live. Hello from Idaho in the snow. Awesome. All right. Well, you guys, let's see. I'm trying so hard to keep my cholesterol down. Not working very well. Any suggestions? You're stalled. So, Margaret, you're probably, well, number one, if you're doing the ketogenic diet correctly, you shouldn't see that happen. Number two, you're probably measuring total cholesterol or LDL-C. So you need to go and read the article that Anna put in there about the ketogenic cholesterol quandary, about which part of the cholesterol components you need to be worried about and which ones you don't need to worry about. That's the most important thing because most people don't understand the difference. It's really important. All right. You guys you can hear my poor dog who wants to come in. She's outside and she's irritated that I've got her outside. I am going to, if there's no more questions, you guys, I've been live streaming for 52 minutes. So actually almost 53. So this is going to be like the most giant file when I load it onto the web. Anyway, hopefully it'll be fun. You guys will enjoy it. Hopefully you got some good questions answered. No cortisol. What does that mean? No cortisol? I'm not sure what you're saying there. Cortisol. I'm tired. I read that as cholesterol. It says cortisol. Trying hard to keep your cortisol down. All right. So Margaret, best way I know for women who have pseudo-Cushing's syndrome is to exercise. Exercise brings the cortisol down. That's the first step in doing it. Because now, if cortisol is high because of another reason, you check that out with your doctor. That's very important to understand that. All right. Don't blow that one off. You're very welcome, Anna. Thank you, and thank you for your help. The links. Thank you. If you are sick, does that affect cortisol? It absolutely does, Leah. If you're sick, your cortisol is going to be high. That's how your body helps to heal itself. The higher cortisol actually calls in the white cells and helps the body ramp up the immune system. So if you're sick, don't worry about your cortisol. Thank you, Sherry, for your comments. We appreciate it. You guys have a great evening. Remember to keep the fat high, keep the carbs low, and pass the bacon. And go to my website. Check out docmuscles.com. Check out my membership site. Check out the Keto Cart membership site. It's in transition. A new membership site and the new web base is coming in for that. Hopefully around May. But in the interim, I've added some articles to the Ketogenic 101 course. The Keto Clan is there available to ask these kind of questions every day, directly throughout the day. And I can try to respond to them between patients, things like that. So hopefully that helps. I started 3 weeks ago, said Brenda. Oh, exercise, ugh. Started 3 weeks ago, down 8 pounds. Congratulations, Brenda. You're awesome. I know. So, well, this is what, Margaret, I don't want you to go win any land speed records with exercise. What I tell people is this: I want you to walk 15 minutes down the street and 15 minutes back. And if that's too long, walk 5 minutes down the street and 5 minutes back. Do that for a few weeks, and then increase it to 10 minutes, and then increase it to 15 minutes. Simple walk. You'd be amazed at what walking outside will do, unless you're in Idaho where the snow's at and you freeze. Don't do that. But walking will actually help lower that cortisol and the hormones naturally. Love the new membership levels. Oh, did you see them? Thank you. I'm going to be adding to those. So those articles and levels that are there, I'm going to be adding to those articles. I've got 3 already in my head that I need to put on paper, so they're there. And then there's question answers, there's bonus material, and then those question and answers can be talked about at the Keto Clan. So you check out the Keto the membership page. I really want to make that worth your time and effort and the value of what that you spend for that. You are very welcome, guys. Have a great evening. You guys take good care. Thanks for checking in, and we'll see you tomorrow. And again, keep the fat high, keep the carbs low. Pass the bacon. Talk to you later, guys. Bye-bye.